Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the moving to London video. I know this channel is mainly travel, but moving to London was a big part of my life in the last year, so I just want to share a bunch of advice that I wish I knew before I went, and I also want to compile it conveniently into this video. So this is mainly going to be an overview of all the different things that you need to consider when you're thinking about moving to London. And then I'm probably going to do some other videos going into more detail of like specific topics on this video. And of course we can all chat in the comments if you've got more advice, questions, etc. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I'm going to try hard not to speak fast because I'm not very good at like breath regulating when I'm talking about something I'm really interested in. Okay, so first two things that you need to think about is visa and savings. I'm not going to talk too much about visas because I don't know that much about them. I'm currently on the Tier 5 Youth Mobility visa. I'll leave a link to that down below, and the next visa I want to do is the Ancestry visa. Sorry, there's like a guy standing in our driveway. Don't know what he's doing. The next visa I want to go onto is the Ancestry visa, which I'll also leave a link down below. But unfortunately for visa advice, you're on your own. There's probably other people on the internet that talk about that, or you can talk to a professional, or just do your own research basically. So the next thing you need to think about is the savings, because you kind of can't have one without the other. Because you might have savings but you might not be eligible for a visa, and then you might be eligible for a visa but you don't have any savings. So that's going to cause a lot of issues. The main reasons you need savings is A, for your visa, B, for your flights, and C, to have a cushion when you first move over so you're not stressed about like finding a flat, finding a job straight away. And a lot of people also choose to go traveling when they first arrive because it's unlikely that you're going to get a large amount of time off while you're working for a company. So I'm probably going to talk more about this in the budgets video, but I think I came over with about £6,000 to £7,000 and that was enough, but I luckily got a job quite quickly, so it's difficult to say, but again I'll probably talk about this in a bigger video about budgeting for your move. So you've sorted your visa, you've got your savings, then you want to start thinking about flights. Obviously when you've applied for your visa, or if you haven't or are going to apply for your visa, you would need a visa start date. I'm not sure about every single visa, but my visa, you were allowed to enter within 90 days of the start date of the visa. So that means you don't have to have like a specific day that you need to fly on. But yeah, start looking at flights, see how much they're going to be, book one. And that's kind of like the biggest thing. Obviously applying for your visa is pretty big, especially if you have to pay the cost. But once you've booked that flight, like, you're in, you're going, and that is that. Don't forget to book some insurance as well. I would just book insurance for up to 2 weeks before the flight, up to maybe a week after, just, you know, in case anything changes last minute basically. And then just check COVID entry requirements. I know things are kind of easing off at the moment, but transit countries and all that stuff may still require certain COVID documents. So just check that once you've booked your flights. So the next thing I would say is to give notice at your current job. So you've booked your flights, you've basically said you're leaving, but you actually need to tell your job. So just don't forget to do that. And also just wanted to mention, don't be disheartened if people don't understand why you're moving, if they question you, discourage you, make unsolicited comments or whatever. Just say, it's my choice, moving on. And I thought I would just preface this now, you do not need a job like already before you move over. You can definitely get a job once you arrive. It is also probably easier to do that unless you have a very, very specific field. So you've done all of that, now it's time to pack. And you're probably like, what am I supposed to pack? Just start by decluttering. I'm going to do a bit of a more detailed video on this topic because I know there's a lot of questions surrounding it, but just start by decluttering and then go from there. So those are the essential things that you definitely have to do before you go. And then a few other things that you might want to think about doing, which will just help you once you arrive, is two things you can order probably like the week or two before is a Monzo card. Monzo is a digital bank in the UK, and it's really easy to get a debit card, and it will save you so many fees when you first move over, and then you can always go for another bigger bank. Do your own research, find one that you like, etc. And then also get a rail card. These are about, I think, 30 or 35 pounds for a year. They've got a 16 to 25 one and a 26 to 30 one, and these will literally save you so much money. People say it's not worth it, but it's 100% worth it. Then of course you don't want to forget to cancel any memberships that you've got at home, any subscriptions to anything, because you don't want to be being charged for that when you're overseas. Along with any memberships, don't forget to tell your bank that you're leaving, just so that when you use your card overseas, your bank does not freak out and cancel your card. And then also maybe think about bringing a little bit of cash, maybe like £100 or something, just to have as a backup. Obviously I'd get it broken down into the smallest notes possible, maybe like 10s and 20s, but it's just handy to have as a backup. It's not necessary, and so many places do take card, but you know, it's just handy to have it as a backup. Then the last thing that you want to think about before you go over is where you're going to stay when you first arrive. If you're lucky enough, you might have a friend, family member, etc. that you can stay with, at least for the first week. But you know, maybe you want to look into Airbnbs, hostels, hotels, whatever suits you, just so you've got a plan and you're not stressed when you arrive. Now this is totally optional, and like I said, you really don't have to have a job or a flat before you move over, but it could be wise to get a little bit of a scope of the market out there for both jobs and flats, see what's available at the moment, what's going. It just kind of means you've got a little bit of a baseline to go from once you arrive. Again, I'm going to do specific individual videos about finding a flat and finding a job, because they're very complicated topics and people have a lot of questions. So you've done it. You have gotten on the plane, you are on your way, and you're like, okay, what do I need to do when I get there? Anything that I need to remember to do? The first thing is a SIM card, okay, because you're going to want to contact people as soon as you get out of the airport. My personal opinion, EE is the best network in London. I'm not speaking about the rest of the country, but I know in London I get coverage everywhere now. I used to be with 3. There was so many dead zones that just wouldn't work. But in my humble opinion, EE is the best. So I think in all the terminals there will be a WH Smith, which is kind of like a stationery store as well as like snacks. I don't know. It's a really strange store. They sell everything, but they sell SIM cards, which is what you're going to be looking for. EE is the Aviva logo, blue and yellow one. It's like turquoise, whatever. And just grab a pay-as-you-go SIM card with a £10 data pack or however much you want. But I think the smallest one is £10 usually, and that is just a great way to get yourself started, and then you can figure out later if you want to get a plan or whatever, but just start off with that. Then you're going to need to get an Oyster card. The reason I would also recommend this at the beginning / always is A, if you went and got yourself a rail card, you can get your Oyster loaded with the rail card and get discounts, and B, if you're just using like your card from home to tap in and out of the train or the tube, it's going to start costing you money because there's a lot of fees that add up with the currency conversion rates and all of that stuff. So grab yourself an Oyster. I think they're £5 or £10. I can't remember. Just load it up with a bit of cash. There's usually someone by the station that can help you, like a TfL staff member, and yeah, so you've made it to your accommodation. So you've got to your accommodation, you've had some time to explore London, you know, you're kind of settling in and you're wanting to think about starting to find a job in a flat. Basically for flats you want to look on Spare Room for house shares, and Zoopla and Rightmove for like individual properties. to rent or buy, but house shares you're mainly going to find on Spare Room. And then in terms of jobs, there's a whole myriad of things. I will go into that in a separate video, but Indeed is the one I know about, and then there's so many job websites, so it's a bit overwhelming. And I would definitely recommend a recruitment agency if that's like within your sector. Obviously if you're a nurse, probably not likely to go with a recruitment agency, but you get what I mean. So once you've settled into your flat, your job, or whenever you've got time, you want to register with the NHS and get yourself a GP, because at some point you might want to get a prescription for something, or you might get sick and you want to see a doctor, or you might injure yourself and need some free healthcare from the NHS. It's not technically free, you obviously pay for it, but through taxes and other stuff. But registering with the NHS is really important. It took me so long to actually do it, but then once you've done it, you don't need to think about it again. So that is everything that you need to think about when you're wanting to move to London. Those are the essential things that you need to consider, take care of, figure out, and then there's a couple of other bits in there that, you know, you might be a bit confused about, might have questions about. So I'm also going to do a couple of videos on like public transport in London, because I know for people who don't come from cities, public transport can be very, very overwhelming, and especially in London it is hectic and confusing. And then also supermarkets, I mean, they're not the most exciting thing for most people, but they're a part of our lives, and you might just want to know a little bit about them. I'm not going to do a long video on that, just keep it calm. And then I also thought I'd do a video on kind of like moving into a flat, where to get furniture, bedding, like all those things, because when you're not from a country, you're like, okay, I go to this store at home, so what is the equivalent of that over here? That was like really confusing for me when I moved over, so hopefully you can avoid a bit of confusion when you move over. Anyways, I hope this video has been helpful. I hope this has got you excited to move over. I already know 2 people that are moving over this year, probably like 3 or more actually. God, honestly, so many people, and it's a really exciting year because I think hopefully everything is going to open up again. So at the time of this video, there is some conflict happening between Ukraine and Russia. If you're watching this in the future, hopefully it's over. I don't really want to say too much on that because it's a pretty heavy topic, but I think all of us have learnt after COVID that no matter what is going on, if you want to do something, you kind of just have to take the chance and do it, because you never know when that chance is going to be ripped away from you. So that's my 2 cents. Get excited to move over because I'm excited to see you guys here. And thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you here as part of my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting, helpful, useful. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member that's thinking of moving over. Share it with your mum if your mum's concerned about you moving over, you know. And then you can just say, this is all I've got to think about. It's okay, it's simplified, I've got it. Or your dad, if that's, you know, whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.